Hey, what's going on, everybody? Back with another how-to. Today we're going to be doing the upper torque strut mount on this 2013 Nissan Altima. Now this should fall in line with any 5th gen Altima 2.5 4-cylinder, which is 2013 to 2018. So let's get into it now. All right, guys, under the hood here. So here's our upper torque strut mount. I don't know if you can see in there, but yeah, she is cracked up. It's hard to see there. There's a little cracking on that inner part on the lip here as well. So this thing is definitely done for. So let's go ahead and get into this disassembly. So if you look at the bolt right there, that's a direct shot down on it. That bolt is reasonably long, and this could be an easy job if we can just shoot that bolt out, move the coolant reservoir and pull this bolt out. But unfortunately we are not that lucky, and that strut tower bar is perfectly over with about maybe an 1.5 inch gap from here to the top of the bolt head. So unfortunately we got to remove the strut tower bar and everything associated with getting to that, and then we'll have access to that bolt to get the actual mount out. So what needs to happen is the cowl has to come out, which is the whole plastic trimming where the window, at the base of the window goes. So we're gonna have to pull the wipers, pull the cowl. We'll have all access to all the bolts of the tower. We'll then remove the tower, and then we'll actually have access to this freaking one bolt that we need access to in order to remove this. So we're gonna go ahead, close the hood, start with the cowl, and we'll get into this now. All right, so as I mentioned, we're gonna have to remove this cowl to get to the strut tower bar, and we're gonna have to pull the wipers to do so. Now, if you want to get these wipers exactly where they are currently, you can do what I'm going to do. You don't necessarily have to do this. I mean, you can kind of almost eyeball it, but if it makes you feel better, I'm gonna give you a measure that you can take to get this right back on where it was. So I got the tape here. I'm going to start it right there at the edge, make it to about the length of the wiper. Okay, I'm just going to try to get it as close as possible. I'm ripping it here. So I'm going to move this down here. You can see, I'm going to see where this watermark is because it's been raining. There we go. Got it right about where that wiper is along the line. So I want to do the driver's side as well, and then we'll go ahead and get into removing the wipers. All right, guys, we got this taped out. It's a rough estimate of exactly where these are going to go back. That's all I need. It's just an idea. Like I said, you don't even need to do that, but it does help if you want to get it more exactly where this was. So now what we're going to do is remove these wipers. Now, if you notice, they have a cover which reveals the bolt. This one's actually already popped up. So typically you could take a pick, pop these out. Like I said, this one was already popped. So we got that one off. You can see the nut there retaining the wiper arm. So I'm going to get a pick for this one, and we'll go ahead and get that off. All right, so we're on to the passenger cover here. So I have a right angle pick, and that's what I would suggest. And if you look right here at the base bottom of the wiper arm, there's a little tab where you can put a pick in there and pop it right up. See, it went flying, but popped it right off, and we have that nut now revealed for both of our wiper arms. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood, and we'll go ahead and have access to these, and we'll remove the wiper arms. All right, guys, so I'm gonna start here on the driver arm. The nut is a 14 mil, just have a 14 on the impact. Fired it right off, as you can see. Gently put down my impact. We're gonna move this to the side, and now this arm is free. What we're gonna do is lower the hood back down, and I'll show you how we're going to get that off. All right, guys, so I got the hood closed, not fully, just enough to you know, have it latch, so you can lift the arm up, and then once you lift it up, you can work it right off. So you can see I just bend it up like that, and then we just pull the arm directly off. So I'm gonna do the same thing for the passenger side. 14 mil, fire that nut out, and then we're gonna lift the arm up and lift it right off. All right, so you can see we got both wipers completely removed with the arms, and I just finger tightened the nuts right back on. You don't want to lose them or misplace them, so just finger tighten them back on, and then you will have them exactly where they need to be when you're ready. So now what we need to do is go ahead and remove our entire plastic cowl here. So if you look on both sides here, There's a little trim piece here at the bottom of the window, one on both sides, and we need to pop this out first. It's just retained with a couple of tabs on the inner part, and you should be able to just pop them out. So I started in the bottom, popped it from the bottom inside, and these pop right out. So, and we are on the driver's side now, so you can see I got my thumb on the inside coming from under the hood. Okay, popped it right out. You just want to be very gentle with these. All right, this one's a little tighter than the other side. I believe this was an accident on this side, so this fender's probably a little tighter, but we still got it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this to the side as well, and then we'll go ahead and get into removing the cowl. All right, guys, so both of our corners, our trim pieces holding the cowl in, are now out. We have the cowl completely exposed essentially, and there should be 7 push clips, all right, retaining this into the car. So I have a panel popper here. We're going to start popping each one of these clips out individually, and then we should be able to free up this cowl in its entirety and pull it right out. Just be really careful with these, because if you pop them out too hard, they will go flying, and then trying to find it is not going to be fun. All right, got those 2 on the side done. On the driver, got these 3 up top. 1, 2, 3, there we go. And then we have the remaining 2 on the passenger side. So there's 1 popped up. Here is the other in the corner. Pop that out. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put all these clips to the side, and then we'll work on getting the cowl out. All right, all 7 of the retainer clips holding the cowl in are now free. So this should be free. If you notice here, it's on the windshield. You see that, how it's moving? And we're just gonna start pulling it forward. You need to be careful to lift it up and over the wiper arm studs, but it needs to be pulled forward and up. So I slid it back up, completely removed. And now we have full access to the strut tower bar. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and remove our strut tower bar to get access to our 1 bolt we need access to. So if you noticed, I put a magnetic tray on each side on the strut tower. That's just to help me get these bolts organized, because they're, I mean, a decent amount. We got about, you know, 5, 6, 7, 10 mils and a couple 13 mils. So I want to put everything from this side over into this one, everything from the middle over to that one. So pretty self-explanatory. Do you have to do that? No, but it'll help you keep an organized work area. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with firing out the 10 mils associated with the strut bar. So you got 2 different pieces of black metal here. If you look, you got the one back here that's got the 3 bolts, one right here. We don't have to remove those, as this is actually separate from that plate and metal assembly. So we're gonna have to remove these 2, those 2, and the same thing on the other side with the strut bolt and another retainer bolt. So start with our 10 mils here. Go ahead and start in this passenger corner. All right, fire that one out. All right, got both of them out. So let's go ahead and back these off. Put them in my tray to the side. All right, we're gonna come to the middle. Just be careful of the windshield there. Got that one. I'm gonna come to the driver's side now. Got that. All right. Now, setup's a little bit different on this side compared to the passenger due to the wiper motor being right there. So we have 10 mil here. Got it. As you can see, there is a retainer, a zip tie retainer for the wiring harness for the wiper motor. So we're just going to have to pop that off as well. So we got all of the 10 mils out. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in the magnetic tray, and then we're going to get these 13 mils out. All right, so we should have a total of 5 10 mils removed. I'm going to come here with a panel popper, get under this zip tied clamp here for the harness of the wiper motor. All right, I'm putting you guys down to use 2 hands to get really under this and pop it out correctly without breaking it. See, he's fighting me, but we got it. All right, so harness is out. Let's go ahead and tuck that back for right now. So now that we have the 10 mils out, the harness out, we're going to go ahead and move on to these 13 mils. All right, guys, so I'm on the driver's side, 13 mil. This is a strut bolt. Make sure the car is on the ground. I do have it on the ground. It shouldn't move or flex if we just take this one bolt out. It should be perfectly fine. So you don't want it in the air. You want it, you know, stable in position on the ground. So out. We need the tower retaining bolt here out. And you'll notice that the actual strut mount bolt is a little bit longer than our smaller retainer for the strut tower. So that's free. Let's come to the other side here where we're actually going to be working. So smaller one out, and this is this strut mount bolt, a little bit longer, remember, and we got both of these out now. All right, so our bar should be free. Let's go ahead and see where we're at. Yep, there it is, guys. I'm not even going to pull it off. I mean, I literally just picked it up, moved it to the side, and look what we have access to now. Our upper torque strut mount bolt. So that was a decent amount of work to get to this one bolt here, but we have full access now. So let's actually get into the job and replace this mount. All right, so if you look here, we do have one obstruction here for our bolt there, and that is the coolant reservoir tank. Got a 10 mil here. 10 mil is what's retaining it. I dropped it like an idiot, but I can get a magnet and get that. But we're going to go ahead and move this out of the way. You can just literally pick it up, put it to the side. I see my 10 mil, so I'm going to grab that with a magnet and we're going to put it back here so we don't lose it. All right, guys, rescue mission for the coolant reservoir 10 mil. A successful mission, so I'm putting that back, and now we should have access here to get this out. This is not going to be fun. The AC line here is in the way, but we should be able to finagle it out with these lines, considering they do have a little bit of playroom, and we should be able to get it out. So let's go ahead and get this mount out. All right, guys, so now that we have full access to the mount, we can go ahead and remove the associated bolts with the mount. So both of these bolts are 18 mil. So we're going to start with this one right here on the side. I have an 18 mil on a ratchet, so it's actually coming out very easily. Barely turned it, and I wonder if this was disassembled before. Sorry if I keep hitting the camera, guys. The ratchet's right next to it, but all right, guys, so this thing is almost free here. A little bit more to go. There it is. All right, so that is the side bolt there. Go ahead and put this to the side. All right, so that is now free, and now we just have to approach the 18 mil here on the top. We're going to go ahead and get this 18 out now here on the top. You could use an impact. I'm just going to start it off with a ratchet here because I want to make sure it's not troubled, and it's been, you know, water piles up here, so it's a good idea to maybe break it free with a ratchet first. And I got it going, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing out here, moving pretty freely now, and we should have our mount completely free. There it is, guys. So that is the 18 from the top, and you can tell the difference between the two bolts. They are the same length, but the one that goes into the side has a washer. This one does not. So that's how you determine which bolt goes where. The mount is free. So now that we got the mount free, we should be able to go ahead and finagle this thing out. All right, so hopefully I got you guys on a decent view here. Hopefully I can finagle this thing out here. Shouldn't be nothing too crazy. You just got to be careful of this hard line, which has no play. And you can move this one around a little bit, but as you see, I just snuck it right on out, and we have this fully out now, and we can go ahead and install our new one. All right, before we get into the install the new one, I do want to go ahead and show you guys the damage. So this thing is like completely separated, as you can see. Both sides ripped all the way through, and it was actually starting to get some stress and damage around the smaller bushing there as well. So definitely defective. Let's get the new one in. All right, guys, so here's a little old versus new. So here is our new mount. I got a Anchor. The part number is 9444. Anchor mounts are pretty decent. A lot of local parts stores carry them. I do think Anchor mounts are decent mounts. And if you can see, we can do some comparison of the damage. You can see where we're separated here, how this is fully intact. So fully intact and not. So it's a little visual of what a good bushing versus a bad bushing will look like. We do want to make sure that these look even as in comparison to the original. So they look pretty good. This should fit, no issue. So let's go ahead and slide this new anchor mount in. All right, guys, new anchor mount here. So this is the top, round part is the bottom. So our cornered part pointing goes to the top. So we're going to position it like this. Try to sneak her back in, slide that in, and then bam, there we go. She's a hair tight, but got it aligned. So the hole is perfect right here. So we're gonna go ahead and grab that bolt, start it first. Remember, it's the one without the washer. So I'm gonna finger tight that in. Just a hair. So we got that one started. So now I'm gonna take our side one here with the washer. Get this one positioned, and you can even almost use you can almost pull it off a hair to use it as a guide to find your way into the hole, which is what I'm doing right now. And we got it started. So I got both of these started. What I'm going to do is get them about reasonably tight with a ratchet, and then we're going to torque these to spec. All right, so like I said, I'm just going to seat these down with a ratchet. And after I do that, we're going to go ahead and torque these to spec. All right, guys, so I got both of these pretty tight, not fully torqued, but you do want to make sure that the rubber bushing is behind this little stop here. So there's like a little raised tab as a stop for the bushing. So that bushing should be perfectly within that. So you want to make sure your bushing's in the correct spot. I got both of these reasonably tight. So now let's torque these to spec. All right, so the torque spec for these two 18 mil bolts is 63 foot-pounds. Okay, so as you can see there, 63 foot-pounds. So I got my torque wrench here locked in. Here, I'm gonna move the camera because this torque wrench is enormous. All right, as you can see, got her going there. We're doing the side one first, and then we'll lock in the top. All right, guys, I got that one clicked in. So 63 on that. Now let's get that upper one. All right, guys, on to the upper one here. I said my torque wrench is enormous, so bear with me, but I'm gonna go ahead and lock this upper one in, 63 foot-pounds as well. There we go, guys, locked in, 63 foot-pounds. So our new upper torque strut mount is fully installed, torqued to spec. Now we just got to put everything else back together. All right, so now that our mount is fully installed, we're going to go ahead with the reverse of removal of everything we did to get to it. So I'm going to go ahead, take that 10 mil out of our coolant reservoir mount. Go ahead and put this back into place. Should fall right back where it belongs, as you can see. So should rest right up against that bolt back there. So we can go ahead and start our 10 mil here. Just be careful because it is a tight spot. You don't want to drop it like I did when I took it out. So I'm gonna go ahead, lock that 10 mil in, and then we'll move on to the strut tower bar. All right, so coolant reservoir back in place. So now what we need to do is just guide our strut bar here right back into position. So you know we just moved it back. There's a stud right there in the center that you can align it with, and it pretty much just has it fall back into place once you put it right back over that stud. So strut tower bar is back in place, and what I'm going to do is individually finger thread each one of these bolts back in, and then we're going to torque all of them to spec as well. So we'll start right here on the driver's side. Remember, the longer one is the actual strut mount bolt. We'll start this one off. Smaller one is the strut tower mount bolt. All right, we got that, and then we'll start with our 10 mils here. So we got this one here, Get that one started right up there in the middle. Got these two here. So boom. Got that one. And I want to do the same thing for the driver's side, and then we'll have all of these finger threaded in, and then we can torque them to spec. All right, guys, so I got all of these snugged in, started them off finger tight, snugged them down with the impact. They are not torqued because we are going to torque them to spec now. So here is the blowout of the torque specs for our strut tower bar. Okay, you can see we got a few different torque specs going on here. So the 5 10mm bolts here, including the stud here in the middle, which this car is missing, was missing the nut there, so I'm assuming this has been taken out before. I do actually have a spare correct thread, so to make this sound as possible and make it correct, I do have a nut here that I'm providing to the customer right here. So we got that on, and that is the same torque spec as the 5 10mm. So we have the 5 10mm and that stud right there. All right, and the torque spec is 49 inch-pounds. Okay, so I want to start here right in the middle. We're going to lock our torque wrench in 49 inch-pounds. We'll start with the stud, do these two, and then we'll branch off out onto the sides, and we'll get everything locked in. All right, guys, 49 inch-pounds locked in. It's not that tight. All right, you don't want to over torque these. Oop, slipping. This is what sucks about using one hand, but all right, like I said, I got these just snug, so that's good. We'll bounce over here to the driver's side. Keep slipping. There's that one, and we just got these two left here. All right, so 49 inch-pounds locked in. There we go, locked in. 49 inch-pounds on all 5 of our 10mm bolts, and the 10mm stud right there in the middle. All right, so now that all of our 10mm are locked in, what we're going to do is approach our 2 strut tower retaining 13mm bolts there. So these are 22 foot-pounds. Okay, 22 foot-pounds. So got my torque wrench locked here, 22 foot-pounds. All right, already got that one. Let's do this one here. All right, 22 foot-pounds on both of those further back 13mm bolts. All right, so now the only 2 bolts we have to torque left are one of the 3 on each side strut mount bolts. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3 strut mount bolts. 26 foot-pounds is the torque spec. So got the torque wrench locked here, 26 foot-pounds. There we go, guys, locked in 26 foot-pounds. Let me go ahead and get the passenger side one right there, and then we'll have all of our strut tower bolts torqued to spec. All right, so we got everything here on the bar torqued to spec. It's nice and tight and sound. Everything is good. All of our bolts are nice and torqued. So the last thing we need to do here is just pull our wiper motor wiring harness and then pop the little clip, the zip tie clip retaining the harness to the tower, right back in. So we got that back in nice and ran. That is all fully installed now. So now that we have the mount installed as the job was intended to do, we got this bar back in place, our strut tower bar fully torqued in, everything reassembled. We can go ahead and grab our cowl now, slide it back on, and we can go ahead and push clip that thing back in. All right, guys, so now that our bar is fully torqued to spec, I have the cowl here. All right, so we're just gonna have to slide this bad boy back up into position. So you kind of want it to fall right over the wiper arm studs there. Just be really careful here. This thing is fragile. All right, and then what our goal is to get this pop back in and to slide back up over into position. So you probably have a little dirt line there where you can see. I'm gonna go ahead and put the camera down, and you guys can watch me slide this back into place. All right, guys, got that driver's side done, popped into place. There we go. She's back installed there. So got the cowl pushed back up to the window line. Everything is clipped in, it's snug. So now we just got to take our push clips, the 7 push clips were removed, pop them back in, and then this cowl will be fully back installed. All right guys, so cowl is officially back on. We just have to pop our 7 push clips back in. So obviously this is self-explanatory, but you're just going to go around, make sure all your holes are lined up, and then pop them right back in. There we go. So I'm going to get all 7 of these pop back in. We'll have our clips and the cowl will be fully installed, and then we can move on and finish this up. All right, so you can see we got all of our push clips back in. Cowl is secured, so we have to get our side trim of the cowl back in. So as you can see, there's a couple places for these tabs to click in, so you're really just pushing it back into place. It's pretty self-explanatory. You pop it in and it should just snap right back into the position it belongs in, and it's fully installed. So this is the passenger one. I'm gonna go ahead and get the driver one in, then we'll get the wipers back on. All right guys, so cowl is fully installed, got the 2 side trims in as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and get our wipers back on. So I'm gonna take these 14 mil wiper stud nuts off. Just going to put them right here on the cowl resting. All right, so I get both of these off. I'm going to close the hood, and then we're going to go ahead and get these wipers back on as we lined them up to be. So there we go. Let's go ahead and close the hood and get these wiper arms on. All right guys, so I got the wiper arm here, starting with the passenger side. You can just slide it back on, close it, find where you had it aligned. Remember, these were above. All right, so got that right about aligned with the tape where it was. You can see that the arm is in position. So now that we can see that this is aligned with our tape, it's in the position we want it to be, I'm going to pop the hood and we're going to go ahead and get that nut right back onto the arm and hold it in place. All right guys, hood open. So got our nut here. If I can get it to go, there we go. Go ahead and start that off. All right, and I'm just going to lock it in with the impact. You should be able to just snug this down, whether it be like that with the impact or with a wrench. Either way should be perfectly fine. But passenger wiper arm is installed. We're going to do the same thing for the driver, just how I did this passenger, and then we'll have our wipers back installed. All right guys, you can see I got the driver back on as well. We are aligned with our tape. So now that the wipers are secured, we got the 14s locked in. We can take our wiper arm caps here, pop them back into place. That was the passenger. Let's go ahead and get the driver one here. This one was a bit loose. Let's see if we can actually lock it in on this one. All right, and that one's a little bit, still a hair loose, huh? Something must be wrong with it whenever they disassembled this the first time, but it's a little bit tighter than it was initially. So we got both of our covers back on the wiper arm. We can go ahead and peel this tape up now because our wipers are good. So take our marking tape, get it out of here, and we are done guys. All right guys, back under the hood, everything is completely assembled. See, we got all the clips back into place, all our bolts are back where they belong. Everything we disassembled is back in its orientation. We got the new upper torque strut mount installed. So I hope this helped with replacing the upper torque strut mount on your QR25DE 2.5 4-cylinder 5th gen Altima. Make sure you stay tuned because you never know when I might be wrenching on this thing again. And until next time guys.